Hello, friends. About 99% of friends who watch my videos are not subscribed, and I would be very happy if you did. Also, don't forget to press the like button and leave your comments. Your interaction makes the content reach everyone and helps the channel grow. Also, let me know in the comments from which country you are watching the video. You ever been so scared behind the wheel that your hands froze on the steering wheel, your breath caught in your throat, and you forgot the difference between dream and reality? I have. I've been a long-haul trucker for over 20 years now, and I've seen things on the highway that no man with a sane mind should ever have to see. The kind of stuff that creeps in at night when the CB radio goes silent, and the only sound you hear is your tires humming over blacktop and something breathing just a little too close to your ear. This story ain't just some truck stop ghost tale. It's real. I lived it. And I'm telling you now, not to scare you, though it probably will, but to get it off my chest, 'cause keeping it locked inside feels like trying to hold back a damn hurricane with a tarp and duct tape. It started on a foggy Thursday night, around 2:47 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I glanced at the dash clock right before the static on my radio spiked so loud I thought the damn speakers were about to blow. I was driving through the Colorado Rockies, hauling 30 tons of lumber to a site out in Utah. The road was slick from a light rain, fog thick like milk, rolling low and heavy off the trees. No moon, no stars, just me and my rig crawling up a steep grade. Then the headlights caught something I still can't fully explain. It looked like a man standing in the middle of the highway. At first I thought it was a deer or maybe a hitchhiker, so I hit the air horn and flicked my high beams. But the figure didn't move. It just stood there, motionless, like it was waiting for me. I slammed the brakes, tires screeching, trailer lurching behind me like it wanted to jackknife. I came to a full stop barely 10 feet from the figure. Heart pounding, sweat pouring down my neck, I leaned forward, squinting through the windshield. The fog shifted, and for a split second, I saw its face, or what should have been a face. But there wasn't one. Just smooth, pale skin where eyes, a nose, and a mouth should have been. I blinked, and it was gone. Just like that. I sat there for what felt like forever, trying to figure out if I'd just hallucinated. Then my radio crackled again, only this time a voice whispered through the static, real low, like it was sitting in the cab with me. It said my name, full name, first, middle, and last. That was the start of it, the first sign that the highway had opened up to me, revealing a side of itself I wish I'd never seen. I stared at the radio like it had grown teeth. My full name, nobody uses that but my mama and the DMV, came through, in a whisper so soft it made the hair on my arms stand up straight. I reached for the volume knob, hands shaking, and turned it all the way down. Didn't help. The static was gone, but the whisper was still there, like it was in my head now. I slammed the radio off completely, yanked the cord, anything to make it stop. Silence, cold, heavy silence. Not even the engine idling. That's when I noticed the truck had shut off completely. No rumble, no lights, just dead metal in the middle of the highway. I didn't even touch the key. I sat back, trying to breathe normal, trying to convince myself it was just electrical trouble, maybe a short, maybe my brain playing tricks on me after too many sleepless hours. Then I saw movement in the side mirror. Something behind the trailer, walking real slow up the shoulder. Too slow for a person, like it didn't have joints. I flipped the driver's side mirror out a little and stared. I swear to you, God is my witness. I saw that same faceless figure walking up the yellow line, dragging what looked like a crowbar, or maybe a pipe. Long black coat fluttering in the breeze, but it had no feet, no shadows under it either. I reached for my sidearm, in the glove box, cursing myself for ever leaving it at home that trip. All I had was my pocket knife and a prayer, and at that moment, neither felt worth a damn. I locked the doors, not that it would help. My rig's tall and heavy, but the way that thing moved, it didn't seem like doors or locks mattered to it. Then I remembered the dash cam. I'd installed it a few months back after some kid rear-ended me and blamed it on me. If this was some psycho out here trying to mess with me, maybe the footage could help the cops later. I hit the dash cam power switch. Nothing. Black screen. Like whatever this was had shorted out everything electronic in the rig. My phone, too, dead. No signal, no battery, even though I'd charged it just hours earlier at a diner near Glenwood Springs. That's when the tapping started, on the passenger side window. Not loud, not even urgent. Just a slow, methodical tap, like a single finger made of bone. I turned my head real slow, almost scared that if I moved too fast, I'd see something I couldn't unsee. And sure enough, it was standing there, inches from the glass. Still no face. Just that smooth, pale skin and what looked like black fluid leaking from where its eyes should have been. It tilted its head like it was curious about me. Then it smiled, or something close to it. A slit opened up where its mouth should be. Long and unnatural, full of teeth that looked too human and too many all at once. I did what any sane man would do. I screamed, punched the ignition, and begged the truck to start. The engine coughed like it had been choked by the devil himself, then roared to life with a violent shake that rattled everything in the cab. I didn't wait. I threw that rig into gear and slammed my foot down on the pedal, tires spinning on the slick asphalt before catching traction. The thing outside didn't even flinch. It just stood there watching as I peeled off, eyes, if you could call them that, locked on me. Like it wasn't surprised I got away, like it let me go. My heart was jackhammering in my chest, and every part of me screamed to keep going, keep moving. Don't stop until daylight burns the fog off the world and you're somewhere far, far away from whatever that thing was. Hit 80 on a road posted for 55. Didn't care. Speed traps, curves, cliffs, none of it mattered. I just needed distance between me and that. I kept glancing in the mirrors, afraid I'd see it following me, gliding down the road or, worse, riding on the damn trailer like it belonged there. But nothing. Just empty road behind and more fog ahead. Then my CB crackled to life again, even though I'd ripped the cord out. A different voice this time, low, guttural, almost inhuman. It said, "You took the wrong road, driver." And then it laughed, not like a person, like gravel being ground between two cinder blocks. My fingers locked tighter on the wheel. I didn't answer. I just kept my eyes on the yellow lines, trying to focus, trying to pretend I hadn't just heard that. But the thing is, I knew the road. This wasn't the route I'd mapped out. My GPS had died with the rest of my electronics, and I must have taken a wrong turn in the fog. But somehow the road I was on didn't look like any highway I'd ever been down. The lines were cracked and faded like nobody had maintained it in decades. The trees grew closer now, pressing in tight against the shoulder, branches curling over like fingers trying to snatch at the cab. Every now and then I'd pass a mile marker, but they were wrong. Handwritten, uneven, carved into wood like they were made by someone who'd never seen a real road sign in their life. One of them just had a tally mark, 5 vertical slashes, and a red smear beneath it. Blood, maybe. Maybe not. But the smell was thick in the air, copper, like a slaughterhouse on a hot day. I slowed down just enough to avoid skidding, but not so much that anything could catch up to me. And then, up ahead, I saw lights, flickering, dim. A gas station, one of those old-school ones with the single pump and a little shack office. I pulled in fast, hoping someone, anyone, was there, because I needed a face, a real one, something human. But the second I stepped out of the cab, I realized I'd just made a mistake even worse than stopping in the first place. The moment my boots hit the ground, it was like stepping into a different world. The air was thick, heavy, almost syrupy, like it didn't want to be breathed in. Everything was too still. No crickets, no buzzing lights, no wind. The fog clung to my legs like it was alive, curling and shifting around my ankles with every step I took toward the gas station office. The pump looked ancient, rusted to hell, numbers stuck halfway through the dial like it hadn't worked in years. The glass window on the office door was cracked, and through it, I saw a faint yellow glow from a hanging bulb inside, swinging ever so slightly like someone had just walked by. I called out, "Hello? You open?" No answer. I reached for the door handle, cold as ice, and pushed it open. The bell above the door didn't ring, didn't even exist. Just a little hook where it used to be. Inside, the place looked like it had been frozen in time sometime in the 70s. Dust caked every surface. A few old snack wrappers lay faded and curled on the counter. There was a coffee pot in the corner, but the glass had cracked, and whatever liquid was inside had gone black and tar-thick. I took another step in, and the door creaked closed behind me on its own. That's when I noticed the photos. Lining the back wall behind the counter were dozens of old Polaroid pictures, pinned up with rusty nails. Some were curled and discolored, but I could still make out the images. Every single one was a truck. Not just any trucks, semis, rigs like mine. And next to every truck was a driver. Some were smiling, some looked confused. But all of them had one thing in common. They were missing their eyes. Clean sockets, empty holes, like someone had just scooped them out and told them to smile for the camera. My gut dropped. I stumbled backward, knocking over a dusty display rack, and when I looked up, there was someone standing behind the counter. I swear he wasn't there a second ago. Just appeared like smoke. He was tall, rail-thin, wearing a faded mechanic's jumpsuit with no name tag. His skin looked gray under the bulb's light, and his eyes, they were sewn shut. Not scarred. Not healed. Freshly sewn. Black thread stitched crisscross across each eyelid, and blood had dried in little rivers down his cheeks. He tilted his head, like he was listening to me breathe, and said in a voice that sounded like it came from a broken speaker, "Fuel's on the house, driver. You just pay the toll when the road takes you." I didn't reply. I couldn't. I backed out of that place so fast I nearly tripped over the mat. The man didn't follow. He didn't need to. Because when I turned to get back into my truck, I saw something that shook me worse than anything yet. There were fresh handprints all over the inside of my windshield, from the inside, and I hadn't left that rig unlocked. I stood there frozen, keys in hand, heart thudding so loud I swear it echoed off the trees. The handprints weren't smudged like someone had pressed them in panic or wiped fog off the glass. They were perfect. Dozens of them, all sizes. Some small, like a child's, some large, like they belonged to something far too big to be human. And they weren't just on the windshield. As I walked around the rig in a slow, stunned daze, I saw them smeared across every window, passenger side, sleeper cab, even the back of the trailer where no living person should have been able to reach. They were streaked in something dark, not quite blood, thicker, almost like old oil but with a metallic smell that burned the inside of my nose. I reached for the door handle and hesitated. I didn't want to open it. Whatever had left those prints might still be inside. But I couldn't just stand there in that godforsaken gas station lot either. So I swallowed my fear and yanked the door open. Nothing jumped out. No movement. No sound but the creak of the door and my own shaky breathing. I climbed in slow, scanning the cab like I was clearing a war zone. Empty, except for the marks. They were on the dash, the steering wheel, the seat. It was like someone, or something, had sat in every spot, touched every surface, explored the whole interior like it was getting comfortable, like it was waiting for me. I wiped off the driver's seat with a rag from behind the passenger side and slid in, trying to convince myself I was still alive, still in control, still a man behind the wheel, and not some terrified kid who'd wandered into a nightmare. I tried the ignition. The truck started instantly. No stutter, no warning lights. Just a smooth purr, like nothing had happened. The lights flickered once, then held steady. I put it in drive and pulled out of that lot faster than I ever had before. As I got back on the road, the fog seemed to part for me, opening up like a throat ready to swallow something whole. The GPS was still dead, but I didn't care anymore. I just wanted out. Out of that place, out of that stretch of road, out of this hellish route I never should have been on. I drove for hours, maybe more. The road never changed. No mile markers. No towns, no cars, just trees, darkness, and that ever-present feeling that I wasn't alone in the cab, that I wasn't the only thing in control of this truck anymore. And then the radio came back on. This time, it wasn't static. It was music. A slow, crackly version of Country Roads playing like it was being sung by a dead man. And underneath the song, barely audible, was that whisper again. "You're almost home, driver. Just a little further now." I slammed my fist into the radio, but the music didn't stop. It just got louder. That raspy, broken voice dragging the lyrics out like it was savoring each syllable. Country roads. Take me home. To the place I belong. But this wasn't home. This wasn't West Virginia or any place I'd ever known. It was wrong. Every inch of it. I shut my eyes tight for a second, gripping the wheel with white knuckles, trying to drown it all out with the sound of the engine, with my own thoughts. I told myself it was a dream, a bad one. Maybe I'd fallen asleep at the wheel back near Glenwood Springs and crashed, and this was my brain spiraling through its last few sparks of life. But then I opened my eyes, and the road had changed again. The trees were gone now, replaced by fields of black dirt stretching into the void. No fences, no animals, just scorched earth littered with the husks of burned-out cars and twisted metal. The sky had turned a sickly green, the kind you see before a tornado touches down, and the fog had started rising again. Only this time, it wasn't rolling low. It was rising up, like smoke from the ground, like the very asphalt was exhaling. And in the mist, I could see things moving. Silhouettes, dozens of them, all walking alongside the truck. Some were tall, some were hunched, all of them inhuman. They didn't seem solid, more like shadows that had peeled off the people they once belonged to. They glided more than they walked, and they never looked directly at me, but I felt them watching, like they were escorting me somewhere. Like this road didn't go anywhere you could drive to on a map, and these things were just part of the welcome committee. I gritted my teeth and floored it. I figured if this was some kind of death march, I was going to make the bastard thing earn it. The speedometer hit 90, 95, 100, still no end to the road. The lines on the highway had faded completely now, and the edges dropped off into pure nothing, like I was driving on the spine of the world. Then I saw it. A tunnel, carved into a jagged hill of black stone up ahead, wide enough for my rig, but barely, and painted above it in thick, dripping red. Letters, words that made my blood turn to ice. No exit, no turning back. I should have stopped. I should have turned around, even if it meant facing everything I'd left behind me. But the truck didn't slow down. My foot was on the brake, but it was like the pedal didn't exist anymore. The engine roared louder, and the steering wheel locked in place, aiming me dead center at that tunnel. That's when I realized something terrifying. I wasn't driving the truck anymore. It was driving me. I pulled at the wheel with everything I had, veins bulging in my arms, trying to force it even an inch left or right, but it wouldn't budge. It was like the whole rig had turned into a runaway train, dead set on plowing into that tunnel no matter what I did. My legs were locked too. Couldn't lift my foot off the pedal if I wanted to. It was like being strapped to a metal coffin with wheels, heading straight into the mouth of something ancient and hungry. The wind screamed past my mirrors, but I couldn't hear it anymore. The radio was still playing that broken version of country roads. And now it sounded like a dozen voices were singing along, off-key, slow, almost mockingly, like they were making fun of me. I looked at the tunnel growing bigger by the second, and I swear on everything I've ever known. That thing wasn't made by human hands. It wasn't just carved from stone. It looked grown, like the rock had opened its jaw just to let me in. The edges of it pulsed slightly, breathing in and out, and deep inside, I could see flickers of red light, like fireflies trapped in hell. My rig shot through the opening at full speed, and suddenly, it was like the air got ripped out of my lungs. The sound cut off completely. Radio, engine, everything. It was like crossing some invisible barrier where the rules of the world didn't apply anymore. Darkness swallowed me whole. Not pitch black like night, but total black. The kind that made you forget light ever existed. I couldn't even see the dash, and yet I could still feel the truck moving beneath me, tires spinning on some invisible road. Then the whispering started again, but this time it was inside the cab. Not through the radio, all around me, whispering my name, my real name, over and over, like a chant. James, James, James. I hadn't gone by my first name in years, but hearing it like that, from 100 mouths I couldn't see, felt like they were peeling back my soul one syllable at a time. I reached for the door handle even though I knew there was nowhere to go. My hand touched it, and it burned, like the metal was molten. I yanked back with a hiss, and when I looked down, my palm was blistered. But I couldn't stop the truck. I couldn't wake up. I couldn't even scream. All I could do was sit there and listen as the whispers grew louder, overlapping, forming sentences now. You shouldn't have come this way. You brought the road with you. You belong to it now. I didn't know what that meant, brought the road with me, but the moment they said it, the tunnel ahead of me lit up, revealing something that will haunt me until the day I die, if I ever make it that far. The walls were covered in faces, not carved. Real faces. Men, women, children, some screaming, some smiling with stitched lips. All of them half sunken into the stone, as if the tunnel had eaten them and kept their expressions as trophies. And as I passed them, I realized something else. Some of those faces looked familiar. Other truckers, people I'd met at diners, fuel stops, guys I'd shared stories with on the CB, faces I thought were long gone. They weren't missing. They were here, just like me. My blood ran cold. I recognized one face in particular, Big Ronnie, a mountain of a man, drove a red Peterbilt, always had a thermos of coffee and a dirty joke ready. We'd crossed paths in Montana 2 winters back. He'd vanished 6 months later. No body, no wreck, just gone like he drove off the edge of the world. And now here he was, his face fused into the wall, eyes wide open in silent terror, lips barely moving like he was still trying to scream. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd throw up right there in the cab, but I didn't have time. The tunnel was speeding by on both sides, and the farther I went, the more fresh the faces looked. Less petrified, more recent. One of them was twitching, and its eyes were following me. I looked away, but the cab was shrinking now, like the tunnel was squeezing tighter around me. The mirrors cracked. The dash lights blinked in some strange rhythm, almost like Morse code, and then the sleeper behind me creaked. Slow and heavy, like something just sat down on the mattress. I didn't want to look. I knew I wasn't alone. The air grew thick, with rot, like hot meat left to die in the sun. I kept my eyes forward, knuckles white on the wheel, telling myself over and over, don't look back, don't look back. But then, a voice right behind my ear whispered, "Driver," and I couldn't help it. I turned. There was a woman in my sleeper, or what used to be a woman. Her face was stretched, eyes too wide and unblinking, mouth hanging open like her jaw had been broken and never healed. Her hair floated around her like it was underwater, and her skin shimmered with something slick and wet. She didn't blink, didn't move, just stared at me with that endless, gaping face like she'd been waiting a long, long time. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then, in a voice that didn't belong to her, she said, "This is your route now. This is your cargo." I blinked, and she was gone, just vanished like smoke sucked out the back vents. The cab was empty again, but I knew she was still there, watching, waiting. The tunnel finally spat me out into the night, and for a brief second I thought I was back in the real world. I saw stars above, trees again, cracked asphalt under my tires. But something was off. The moon was red, deep red, like a clot in the sky, and there were no stars around it. Just the blood moon, hanging low and full like it had been waiting just for me. Then I saw the signs, wooden, crooked, nailed into trees on either side of the road. "Welcome back, driver." Dead miles ahead. "Stay in your lane." My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. And then the radio crackled once more, just static now, except buried in that white noise was one last message, so faint I almost missed it. But I heard it, clear as day. "You're part of the road now." I should have jumped out right then, should have hit the brakes, kicked open the door, and rolled myself into the ditch just to get away. But I couldn't. My arms wouldn't respond. My legs were, stiff as wood. My hands were still locked to the wheel like they'd fused into it. And that voice, "You're part of the road now," kept looping through my mind like it had been stitched there. The headlights cut through the darkness, but the world around me wasn't the same anymore. The trees were too still, too symmetrical, each one identical to the last, like someone had copied and pasted the forest on repeat. The sky never changed. That red moon hovered in the same place no matter how many miles I rolled under my tires. I started seeing shapes in the woods. Tall, crooked figures that never moved when I looked at them directly, but always seemed just a little bit closer when I turned back. Sometimes I'd hear footsteps running alongside the truck, bare feet, slapping against pavement. But when I looked in the mirrors, nothing. Just fog, and darkness, and the ever-stretching road. Then I passed the same mile marker 4 times in a row. 6 and 6. Black numbers on a rusted white plate, nailed to a splintering post. First time I saw it, I thought it was a joke. Second time, my skin started to crawl. By the third, I was sweating. Fourth time, I knew I was stuck, going in circles on a highway that wasn't part of any map. A loop designed for something other than travel. I yelled, cursed, pounded on the wheel, but nothing changed. That tunnel, that woman, those whispering faces, they had shoved me into a place where the road fed on time, sanity, and memory. And then, somewhere deep into what felt like my 100th hour on that cursed stretch, I saw lights in the distance, flickering yellow bulbs, neon, a gas station, same layout, same crooked pumps, same busted roof. Except now there was a sign blinking slowly overhead. Last stop. I didn't want to go in. God, every bone in my body screamed not to. But the truck, it turned on its own. Steering wheel cranked as if guided by invisible hands. Tires hummed. On the gravel lot, the engine shut off, lights dimmed, and the cab door opened by itself. This time I stepped out with shaking legs. The fog thickened instantly, wrapping around me like a living thing. I didn't have to walk. The ground pulled me forward. The office door opened before I reached it. And inside, behind the counter, sat the same man from before, stitched eyes, gray skin, hands folded neatly over the counter like he'd been expecting me. "Made good time," he rasped, voice like broken glass dragging across gravel. "Your route's just getting started." I tried to speak, but no sound came. My throat felt packed with cotton. He pointed behind him. I looked, and on the wall were new photos. Fresh Polaroids, my rig, my face, eyes gone, and a new photo slot already waiting, labeled with the next driver's name. Yours, maybe, or someone else headed down the wrong road at the wrong hour. He reached out and dropped a key into my palm. Cold, iron, heavy with something, more than metal. "Deliver the night," he said, "and don't get off the road." Then the lights blinked, and everything changed again. I was back in the truck, engine humming, GPS working now. But it wasn't guiding me home. It had one. Word on the screen, nowhere. ChatGPT said. I stared at that screen, heart pounding, breath shallow, trying to make sense of it. Nowhere. No coordinates, no map, no turn-by-turn. Just that one word, glowing pale blue in the dark like it was carved into the screen itself. I tapped it, hoping it'd glitch back to normal, but the screen didn't even flicker. Just stayed there. Still. Quiet. Final. Then the radio kicked on again. Not with music this time, not even with voices, but with the low sound of tires over gravel, like someone was playing a recording of me driving. Except it wasn't me. I wasn't moving. The truck was parked, still. But the sound on the radio kept going, tires crunching, wind blowing, something thumping in the trailer like a body rolling from one side to the other. I turned the volume down. It kept playing. I turned the knob all the way to 0. Still played. The sound was inside the speakers now, behind the dash, somewhere deep in the wires and metal. That's when I heard it again. The knock. Slow. Deliberate. 3 raps on the back wall of the sleeper. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. Couldn't move. Couldn't even breathe. The kind of knock that wasn't asking to come in. It was letting me know. It already had. I turned barely and caught sight of the curtain that separates the cab from the sleeper. It was swaying. Just a little, back and forth like someone had brushed past it. I reached out, fingers trembling like leaves in the wind, and pulled the curtain aside. And there, sitting upright in the sleeper, knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped around them, was the same woman I'd seen in the tunnel. Her eyes were open wide, reflecting no light. Her mouth was sewn shut with black wire, her skin damp and stretched too thin like it had been painted over muscle. And in her lap was a logbook, my logbook. Pages filled with routes I'd never taken, dates that didn't make sense, signatures that weren't mine. But the last page was blank, except for the header. It read, "Next entry, final delivery." Her stitched mouth twitched. She tilted her head. And then, she smiled, with her eyes. It was the most horrifying thing I'd ever seen. A smile that said, "You're mine now, and you always were." I backed away, nearly falling into the driver's seat, started the engine again. This time, I didn't wait. I slammed it into drive, tires spinning on gravel as I peeled out of that lot and roared back onto the road. I didn't look at the GPS anymore, didn't check the mirrors. I just drove. The moon was still red, the road was still empty. And the logbook? It was sitting on my dash now, closed, but I could feel it pulsing, like a heartbeat. Every few miles, I swear I could hear it breathe. I haven't stopped driving since. The signs don't make sense. The mileage resets every few hours. Time doesn't pass the same way anymore. Sometimes it's night for days. Sometimes the sun rises, but it's blue, and it doesn't give off any heat. I've passed the same hitchhiker 6 times, waving with a missing hand, mouth moving, but no words coming out. I saw a deer once, except it was walking on its hind legs and had a man's eyes. I don't sleep. I can't sleep. And the worst part? I've started seeing my own face in places it shouldn't be. In the mirrors. In puddles. On the road signs. Grinning. Waiting. I think the road is turning me into something else. Something that belongs here. Just like all the others. So if you're listening to this, if you're a driver or thinking about becoming one, stay off. Route 77 after midnight. Don't take shortcuts through the mountain passes. And for the love of everything holy, if you ever see a gas station with a red moon painted on the sign, keep driving. Because once you stop, you're not just part of the road. You are the road. I ain't sure how much time has passed since I started driving this cursed stretch. Could be days, could be years. Time don't move right out here. The clock on the dash spins backward some days, freezes on others. My watch died weeks ago, and even the sun don't rise the same anymore. Sometimes it just hovers on the edge of the sky like it's watching, waiting for something. But I keep driving. Can't stop. Won't stop. I tried once, just once. Pulled over near what looked like an abandoned diner, rusted over and leaning like it was tired of standing. Thought maybe I'd get out, stretch my legs, try and clear my head. But the second I cut the engine, the silence hit me like a punch to the chest. Not peaceful silence either, the kind that makes your ears ring like the world stopped breathing. Then I saw the shadows moving toward me, fast, crawling across the asphalt like spilled ink. No sound, no shape, just hunger. I didn't even open the door, fired the truck back up and peeled out before they reached the tires. I swear I heard one of them laugh, but it didn't sound human. It sounded like me, laughing in a way I never have. Now the road speaks to me. I know how that sounds, trust me. I'd laugh too if I wasn't living it. But it does. The cracks in the asphalt form words sometimes, short ones. Stay, deliver, end. Sometimes I'll pass roadkill, but it ain't animals. It's pieces of people. A hand still twitching. A mouth open wide in a scream with no sound. And they all look familiar. Like folks I used to know. Folks I think I might have seen sitting in diners or gassing up at stations way back when I still believed in regular old nightmares. I got this one delivery I'm always making. Don't know who it's for. Don't even know what I'm hauling anymore. Trailer's locked from the outside, tight as a tomb. But every once in a while I hear something banging from inside. Slow, heavy, like whatever's in there ain't quite dead yet. Or maybe it's just learning how to move. Either way, I ain't got the guts to check. One night, I passed a sign that said, "Exit ahead, 1 mile." Never seen a sign like that out here before. It was green, lit up like any other normal highway marker. My heart jumped. I thought maybe, just maybe, I was getting out. I floored it. Drove faster than I ever have, tires screaming, engine howling like a wild animal. But when I reached the mile mark, the road curved, and the exit ramp led straight into the side of a mountain. No tunnel, no detour, just rock. I hit the brakes hard enough to throw me forward in the seat, and when I looked up, the sign had changed. It didn't say, "Exit ahead" anymore. It said, "You're too late." I swear the letters were bleeding. Now I see things riding with me sometimes. Reflections in the mirrors that don't match my movements. Shapes, sitting in the passenger seat that vanish when I look straight at them. One time I caught a glimpse of myself in the side mirror, but it wasn't me. His eyes were pitch black, mouth stretched too wide. He winked and kept driving. I'm telling you all this because I don't know how much longer I got. The logbook's filling up on its own now. Every page written in handwriting that ain't mine. And the final page, well, it's got a date scrawled across the top. Today's date. And under it, just 2 words, final stop. So if you ever see a big black Freightliner with blood-red lights and a cracked windshield cruising past you on an empty stretch of highway in the dead of night, don't honk. Don't wave. Don't try to flag me. Down. 'Cause it ain't me driving anymore. I'm just the passenger now. And the road's the one behind the wheel. I don't know what's real anymore. There are nights I swear I wake up in the sleeper, thinking it was all a nightmare. But then I look out the windshield, and it's still the same road, still the same damn moon, still the same mile markers scrolling by over and over. The only thing that changes is me. My reflection's different now. My skin looks dull. My eyes aren't the same color they used to be. Some nights they glow faint red in the side mirror, even when the cab is dark. And my voice? It don't sound like mine no more. Sometimes, I'll be talking to myself, like I used to when I needed company on long hauls. But the voice that answers back from the sleeper, it's deeper, rougher, older. One night I found a CB still working. Static-filled, sure, but it lit up on its own, like someone was on the other end. I grabbed the mic and said, "Breaker 19, anyone got ears on?" A moment passed. Then a voice came back, raspy, wheezing, like whoever it was hadn't spoken in years. "You're running late, driver," it said. "Cargo's getting restless." My heart stopped. I didn't respond. Couldn't. But the voice kept going. "Ain't no exits. Ain't no home. You're just the meat in the seat. Keep moving. That's all you are now." Then it cut off. Silence. No static. No hum. Just nothing. That silence hung heavy. Felt like it sucked the air right out of the cab. I reached for the CB again, trying to turn it off, and that's when I noticed blood on my hands. Not a lot, just specks, like I'd touched something wet and coppery. I checked my shirt, my arms. Nothing hurt. No cuts, but the seat was damp, warm. I turned to look behind me, real slow, every instinct begging me not to. The curtain was gone, ripped clean off, and in the sleeper, something was moving, just barely, like a slow breath. I don't know how I managed it, but I started driving again. I don't remember shifting gears or pressing the pedal. It's like my body acted on its own, desperate to outrun what I saw. I passed a convoy of trucks the next night, all black. No company names, no plates. Their headlights were off, but they drove like they could see just fine. As I passed, one of them honked, a deep mechanical bellow that rattled my windows. I glanced into the cab as I passed the lead truck, and I swear to God, there was no driver. Just an old, dried-out logbook in the seat and a pair of hands on the wheel. Only hands, no arms, no body, just hands. And they turned the wheel like they knew where they were going, like the truck itself was alive. Every once in a while, I'll see a green sign glowing up ahead and get a little hope. "Welcome to Fairview," or "Exit 12, rest." Stop and gas, something normal. But when I get close, the lights flicker and the words change. "Stay on the road. There is no exit. Deliver or die." Then the signs vanish into mist. The fog rolls in thick. And I'm back where I started. I think the truck's alive now. Not like a machine. Like a thing. It hums when I touch the wheel. Purrs when I stay on course. Groans when I try to turn around or slow down. The last time I pulled over for more than 5 minutes, I woke up with the engine running and my hands duct taped to the wheel. The tape wasn't mine. And my mouth was full of dirt, like something tried to bury me while I slept. So I keep driving. Mile after mile. Night after endless night. I don't know what I'm hauling. I don't know where I'm going. But I know one thing. There's no turning back. And if you ever see me on the road, if you catch a glimpse of my rig in your rearview mirror, don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't try to warn me. Because if I see you, if I hear your engine humming, my truck might decide you got the next delivery. And once the road has your name, there's no way off. You ever hear your own voice coming from outside your truck? Not from the radio, not from a recording, but from the dark? I have. It happened one night somewhere between nowhere and hell, just black sky above and cracked, asphalt beneath. I hadn't seen another soul for what felt like a week. The fuel gauge never moved. The odometer kept resetting itself, and every tree I passed looked like it had a face twisted into the bark. I was losing it. I had to be. Then, out of nowhere, I heard it. My own damn voice, whispering from the side of the road. "You missed the turn again, buddy." That's what I say to myself when I'm joking around, when I'm late or when I forget something. But this time it wasn't a joke. That voice, It sounded like it was right beside my door, like I could roll down the window and shake my own hand. So I did what any sleep-deprived fool would do. I stopped, rolled down the window, shined my flashlight into the woods. And that's when I saw him, or it, me, standing 20 feet into the trees. Same jacket, same hat, same tired eyes, except his smile. It wasn't right. It was too wide, too dry, like it had been stretched on with piano wire. He raised one hand and beckoned, real slow, like he'd been waiting a long time. I stared back, mouth dry as sand. Then he opened his mouth and whispered, "Switch places." I slammed the window and floored it. I didn't care what was in the trailer. I didn't care if the truck wanted to kill me. I'd rather be eaten alive by the cab itself than step out into that forest and let that thing take my place. Ever since then, I've seen copies of myself. In the mirrors, on the roadside, once sitting on top of a billboard watching me go by. They don't move, they don't blink, they just wait. Like they know I'll give up eventually, that I'll pull over, that I'll trade this hell for. The other one, whatever that is, but I won't, not yet. I got this feeling deep in my gut. If I stop, if I let one of them climb in, I don't just die. I get erased, wiped clean, like I never existed in the first place. Just another face in the bark, another voice in the fog. The worst part is, the truck wants it. Every time I pass one of those doubles, the steering pulls just a little toward them. Like the rig's trying to hand me off. Like it's tired of me. That's the game, ain't it? The road don't want drivers. It wants replacements. And when it's done with you, it feeds you to the woods and puts a new puppet behind the wheel. I used to laugh at ghost stories. Thought they were just truck stop tales, little bits of creepy fiction to kill time between loads. But this is no story. I'm living it. Every mile, every whisper, every red-eyed version of myself grinning from the dark. It's all real. And if you don't believe me, just try it. Take Route 77 at night. Drive long enough. Keep going when your GPS dies, when the gas needle stops moving, when the sky turns red and the trees start watching you. You'll see me. Maybe not in person. Maybe just in your mirror. Maybe I'll be driving the truck behind you. Or maybe I'll be waiting on the side of the road smiling, beckoning, and you'll hear my voice say, "Switch places." And by then, it'll be too late. There was one night, don't even know how long ago now, when I hit something. Dead center of the road. Felt like I ran over a stump, but there ain't no trees growing out of the middle of the interstate. The truck bounced hard, enough to rattle my teeth, and I slammed the brakes, heart pounding in my throat. For a second, I thought I might have crushed a person. I sat there in the cab, sweating bullets, staring into the red mist that had become my headlights. The fog out here, it ain't normal. It moves like it's breathing. You shine a light into it, and it don't bounce back like fog should. It absorbs the light, eats it, like it's hungry. I grabbed the flashlight from the dash and stepped out, leaving the engine running because I already knew better than to trust it'd start back up if I didn't. The air was cold, real cold, too cold for the season. I walked around to the front, boots crunching over broken glass and gravel, and there it was, laying right in the road, some twisted shape. Couldn't tell if it was animal or human. It had limbs, but too many. Looked like someone had melted a person down and rebuilt him from memory, but got it all wrong. One arm was way too long. The face, it had no face, just smooth skin where the features should have been, like it had been erased. And its chest was heaving. It was still breathing. I ain't proud of this, but I stepped back, fast. I didn't help it. Didn't even check if it was alive in the normal sense, because whatever it wasn't right. And right as I turned to get back in the truck, it spoke, with no mouth, no lips. The words just appeared in my damn head, like they were being broadcast through the bones in my skull. "You took the wrong road." That's it. That's all it said. I climbed back in, slammed the door, threw the truck in gear, and hauled ass out of there. But ever since that night, things have been worse. Not just weirder, worse. The sky doesn't even pretend to be normal anymore. Sometimes it's black, sometimes it's a deep green like swamp water, and once it was filled with stars I'd never seen before. Constellations that moved, changed, formed symbols. At first I thought it was just my mind slipping, but then the radio started whispering those same symbols in static, like some language I ain't never heard, but still somehow understood. Every time I doze off, just for a second, I dream about driving into a giant mouth, wide open across the highway, teeth like telephone poles, gums bleeding. And when I wake up, the truck's always a little closer to something I don't want to reach. I haven't eaten real food in days. The wrappers in the cab keep refilling themselves, but the food don't taste right. Everything's stale and warm and has this aftertaste, like metal and mold and grief. That's the only way I can describe it. Like each bite is a memory I never wanted. I'm starting to forget my own name. I caught a glimpse of my license in the glove box, and the name was scratched out. Not worn, not faded, scratched out, like someone used a knife to erase me. I tried to call dispatch. Hell, I even tried calling my ex. But every time the phone rings, I hear my own voice answer, whispering, "This number is no longer yours." I'm telling you, the highway takes more than your fuel and miles. It takes pieces, bits of your soul, your identity, your memories. You give them up one rest stop at a time, until all that's left is a driver and a destination that don't exist. The logbook's almost full now. Only one page left. I ain't dared open it, but I can feel it humming every time I reach for it, like it's calling me, like it's got one last entry waiting to be written. I don't know if I'm delivering death or if I am the delivery, but one thing's for sure. This road don't end. Not for me. Maybe not for anyone. You think you're safe in your little four-door sedan cruising through the night with your music up and windows down. But if you see my rig behind you, black Freightliner, busted grill, red glow under the hood, don't pull over. Don't wave. Don't look me in the eye. Just keep driving and pray the road don't pick you. Next. Because once it marks you, there ain't no rest stop far enough, no prayer strong enough, and no map in this world that can lead you home. Sometimes, in the dead quiet between the rumble of the tires and the low hum of the engine, I swear I can hear voices whispering through the vents, not coming from the CB, not from the radio. Those are long dead now. Just faint scattered syllables, floating out of the air like ghosts trying to remember how to talk. I try to ignore it, keep my eyes on the road, but some nights those whispers turn into screams. Screams of people I never met, and somehow people I know. I heard my mama once, clear as day. She's been dead 15 years, but there she was, sobbing and begging me to turn back. I nearly crashed when I heard her. I yelled out, "Mama!" But all I got back was silence. Not peace. Not quiet. Silence. The kind that presses against your skull like water pressing in on a diver too deep, waiting for your head to split. One time I saw a little girl standing on the shoulder. Blonde hair, pink dress, one of those old-style teddy bears clutched in her arms, no shoes, barefoot in the cold. She just stood there, not thumbing for a ride, not crying, just watching. I slowed down. Couldn't help it. Something in me screamed that she was human, that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't part of this nightmare. Maybe she was another poor soul caught in the loop. When I pulled up beside her and rolled down the passenger window, she didn't move. Didn't blink. I asked if she was okay. That's when she looked up at me and smiled, all wrong. Her mouth cracked open wide, too wide, and inside wasn't a tongue or teeth, but gears. Rusty, grinding gears. Her voice came out in a mechanical hiss and she said, "Driver 66, Your route deviation has been recorded. I floored it. Didn't even shift proper, just let the engine scream as I peeled out. My mirrors fogged over with handprints, small ones, dozens of them pressing against the inside glass. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even think, just drove and drove until the sun tried to rise. But it didn't rise normal. The light was red, not dawn red, blood red. And the shadows it cast, they moved against the light, like they had their own rules now. That's when I realized the road had bent, not turned, bent, like it looped in on itself, curving at angles no sane geometry would allow. The white lines stopped making sense, stretching off into the trees, disappearing up into the sky like veins on a dead man's arm. And all the signs were in symbols now, no English, no numbers. Just strange carvings that hurt to look at. My nose started bleeding the longer I stared. I once tried to stop and just walk off. Left the truck running on the side of the road and headed into the woods. Thought I could find someone, something real. I must have walked for hours. Trees. Never changed. Same knots, same twisted roots, same rusted road signs hanging from branches like rotten fruit. Eventually I came to a clearing and saw something that near dropped me to my knees. My own damn truck, idling with the lights on, parked in the same spot I'd left it. Except now there was someone in the cab. Looked just like me. Hat, beard, everything, but he wasn't breathing, just sitting there grinning. And as I stared, the headlights blinked once, like eyes. That's when I knew, you don't leave this road. It follows you. You can shut your eyes. You can pray, you can scream, but this highway's carved into your soul the second you hear the hum of its asphalt under your tires. So here I am, still driving, still hoping for a rest stop that don't scream when I pull in, still searching for a sign that don't bleed when I touch it. I don't know what I'm delivering. Could be evil itself for all I know. But whatever it is, it's heavy. Feels like it's getting heavier with each mile. Like I'm carrying more than freight, more than flesh. Like I'm hauling all the lost souls who tried to leave this road and failed. And every night I hear 'em knocking from inside the trailer, begging, crying, sometimes laughing, sometimes chanting. And if you're still listening, if you made it this far, do yourself a favor. If you ever find yourself on a highway that feels too empty, where the fog don't behave, where the signs are spelled wrong or the mile markers count backwards, don't keep driving. Turn around. Run. Sleep in your car if you gotta. Just don't follow the blacktop when it starts to hum beneath your wheels. And if you see a black rig pass you with no plates, red glow behind the grill, and a driver who looks just like me, don't honk, don't wave, and for the love of all that's holy, don't look in your mirrors. There was a night I'll never forget. Don't even know if I dreamed it or lived it, but it felt realer than anything else on this cursed road. I was hauling through some stretch of blacktop that didn't even show up on the GPS anymore. It was all forest on both sides, trees packed tight like they were growing inward, trying to crush the road and anything on it. I'd been driving for what felt like days without seeing another vehicle, and my eyes were starting to burn. Then, just up ahead, I saw a motel sign flicker to life in the trees. Vacancy in red neon, buzzing like it was running on a dying battery. There was a gravel road leading off the highway to a little shack of a place, no bigger than a diner with 6 crooked rooms attached. I figured I'd take a chance. Get off the road for a few hours. Let my brain reset. The moment I stepped out of the cab, the air changed. It didn't feel like night air. It felt still, like a jar that hadn't been opened in years. I walked up to the front desk window, rang the little brass bell, and a man appeared behind the glass with a face like wax, eyes too wide and watery. He didn't ask my name, just slid a key across the counter and said, "Room 6. It's ready. For you." I didn't sign nothing, didn't pay, didn't think. Just took the key and went. The room was musty, smelled like mildew and gasoline. There was a single bed with a stained quilt, a cracked TV, and a mirror hanging crooked above. A dusty dresser, but it was quiet, too quiet. No bugs, no wind, not even the hum of the truck engine from outside. Just silence, like the whole world had taken a breath and forgot to let it out. I laid down, stared at the ceiling, and the next thing I knew, I wasn't in the room anymore. I was standing in the parking lot, barefoot, staring at my truck. And there was someone in the driver's seat. I ran toward it, yelling out, banging on the door, but the figure inside didn't move. Then the headlights snapped on, blinding me, and I swear to you, I saw a dozen hands press up against the inside of the windshield. Too many hands. They writhed and twisted like snakes under skin, and I could hear whispering again, loud and layered, like a crowd of voices all speaking at once but saying the same damn thing. You shouldn't have stopped. Then the engine revved and the truck rolled forward, right through me. Cold flooded every cell in my body, like my soul got yanked out and shoved back in the wrong way. I woke up back in the motel bed, gasping for air, drenched in sweat. The clock blinked 3:33. The TV was on, even though I hadn't touched it, and static hissed loud as a storm. But behind that static, under the noise, I could still hear those voices, faint but clear. You're already dead. You just haven't realized it yet. I bolted, didn't even grab my boots, ran to the truck, jumped in, and peeled out onto the highway. The motel vanished behind me like it never existed, just trees again. Endless trees. I don't even know if I really left. Maybe I'm still in room 6, lying there in that rotten bed, dreaming this endless road. Maybe this whole damn journey is a loop, one I'll never break out of. But I drive. Every night I drive. Because whatever's waiting if I stop. It's worse than this. You know, I used to keep a dash cam just for safety. Caught all kinds of weird stuff on it over the years. People standing on overpasses with no faces, deer with human eyes, even once a full funeral procession walking. Across the highway in the middle of nowhere at 2 a.m. But the camera don't work anymore. Every time I check the footage, it's just static, or worse. Last time I looked, I saw myself sitting in the cab, staring back into the lens, except I wasn't wearing what I had on that day. And I wasn't blinking. I was just smiling, wide and empty, like a wax figure of me had come to life. That version of me leaned in close to the lens and whispered, "You're recording your own funeral." I ripped that camera out and threw it in the ditch. Didn't stop nothing. I still see that face in my rear view, and now I don't even know what I'm running from anymore. Is it ghosts? Is it demons? Is it just my own fractured mind trying to make sense of a road that don't obey the rules of time and space? Maybe I died years ago and this is all just punishment, an eternity of asphalt and scream-filled fog. Or maybe I'm not the one being punished. Maybe I'm the punishment itself, meant to haunt the blacktop and remind others what happens when you take the wrong road. Either way, I can't stop. I won't stop. 'Cause there's only one thing I know for sure now. Once this highway has your scent, it don't let go. It'll follow you through states, through sleep, through time itself. It's patient, it's hungry, and it always finds its way back to you. I started noticing the time don't behave the same anymore. I'd glance at the dash clock and see it jump around. 3:17 a.m., then 9:42 p.m., then back to 3:17 again, like the truck was caught in some kind of time whirlpool. My logbook's all out of order now, scrawled with entries I don't remember making. Some written in my own hand, others in scribbles that looked like they were carved with a nail. One entry just says, "Don't open the trailer again." But that's the thing. I never remember opening it in the first place. There was a night not too long ago, I think, where I was running a back road somewhere in the Dakotas, or maybe it was Arkansas. Hard to say now. The trees started to lean over the road, like they were trying to hide the sky. My high beams barely cut through the dark, and that humming started again, low and steady, like the engine had picked up a second heartbeat. That's when I saw 'em. Figures, dozens of 'em, just standing in the trees on both sides of the road. No lights, no eyes, just outlines, men, women, children, all faceless, all watching. I kept my hands tight on the wheel, jaw clenched, pretending like I didn't see 'em, like if I didn't acknowledge them, they'd disappear. But they didn't. They followed. Every time I looked in the side mirror, there they were, walking alongside the truck, keeping pace, even when I hit 60. Their feet didn't touch the ground. They floated just a hair above it, like they didn't belong to the earth anymore. I tried to swerve to shake 'em off, but the road wouldn't let me. I ain't joking. The wheel locked up. I couldn't turn. The truck was choosing its own direction now, like I was just cargo and it was the real driver. Then, all at once, the figures vanished. Every one of them, gone like they were never there. But the truck kept going, down into a stretch of road that looked older than dirt, cracked with roots, lined with rusted-out cars covered in moss. It wasn't just abandoned, it felt forgotten, like I'd fallen off the map and into a place where time forgot to flow. That's where I saw the other rigs, blackened, twisted shells of semis sitting in ditches, some halfway lodged into trees or buried nose-deep in the earth. Their trailers were ripped open like something had clawed its way out, or in. One of them had a message smeared across its side, in dark, dripping paint, or blood. I couldn't tell. It said, "He delivers the end, don't take his road." I didn't stop. I couldn't. Not after reading that. My chest felt tight, like something was pressing down on my lungs from the inside, and every breath I took echoed like wind in a coffin. I glanced at the glove box, and it was wide open now, even though I never open it while driving. Inside was that same photo I burned years ago. Me and my brother, standing by the old family truck. The photo had been charred and twisted, burned beyond recognition the night he vanished. But there it was, clean, crisp, and fresh. Except now, his eyes were scratched out, and mine had been replaced by black pits, like whoever took the photo had burned out my soul. And scrawled across the bottom, "You're next." I slammed it shut and kept driving, but the road don't let go easy. Sometimes I see a hitchhiker standing up ahead, thumb out, head down, but the closer I get, the more I realize he's always the same man. Same flannel shirt, same torn jeans, same too long shadow stretching behind him, no matter where the moon is. And every time I pass him, he turns just enough for me to catch a glimpse of his face. And it's mine. Not as I am now, but older, hollow, twisted. Like a version of me that's been driving too long and finally became part of the road itself. I've tried to stop this. I've tried everything. Burning maps, smashing GPS units, refusing to take new jobs. But the dispatch calls still. Come through. Not through the CB, not through the phone, just through the truck. I'll be driving and suddenly the radio will crackle and a voice will say, "Pick up at mile marker 0, no questions, no detours." And the rig will steer itself, no matter what I do, no matter how I fight it, like I'm just the ghost. Riding shotgun now. So if you're hearing this, if you found this story, whether it's being told on a CB, whispered through a truck stop stall, or playing back on a loop through a dash speaker, listen good. This ain't just a story. It's a warning. Don't take the job if they don't give you a destination. Don't follow a GPS that takes you onto roads you don't remember getting on. And if you ever see me driving a black rig with red underlights and a cab full of shadows, don't wave. Don't honk. Don't look inside, because if you do, you might find yourself sitting behind the wheel. And once you're driving this road, there ain't no getting off. The first time I realized the road was trying to trap me, not just scare me, was a night I'll never forget. And believe me, I got a whole vault of nights burned into my brain. I'd been on the highway for what felt like 30 hours straight, but the sky hadn't changed. Still pitch black, no moon, no stars, just a sheet of darkness hanging overhead like someone painted over the world. I passed the same burned-out rest stop 3 times. I knew it was the same one because of the busted vending machine out front, and the same graffiti sprayed on the brick wall that read, "You're not alone, even when you're alone." Real poetic stuff, right? Only, each time I passed it, there were more letters added. Like the wall was writing back to me. The last time I saw it, it said, "You're not alone. You never were. We're in the back." That's when the trailer started shaking. It wasn't wind, wasn't road bumps. It was rhythmic, like footsteps, pounding from inside. Now, you don't just pull over and open your trailer on a dark, haunted stretch of nowhere road. You don't know what you'll let out. But I was stupid, or maybe I was just too far gone. I slammed on the brakes, jumped out, and circled to the back. My flashlight flickered, even though the batteries were fresh, and my breath showed thick in the air like I was standing in a freezer. The locks on the trailer door were still sealed, but the door itself, it was breathing. I know how insane that sounds, but I swear, it pulsed like a living thing. Like the rig had become some kind of beast, and I was about to crack open its ribs. I backed away, fast, hopped in the cab and gunned it. A mile later, the CB hissed to life. I hadn't touched it in months. The voice on the other end wasn't speaking English. It sounded like radio static trying to form words, guttural, inhuman, wrong. And underneath that static was laughter. Not just one voice, dozens, all different pitches, all laughing at once like a crowd at a funeral who knows something you don't. I yanked the CB out by the wires and tossed it on the floor. It didn't stop. The voices kept going. They were in the speakers now. I tried every trick I knew, taking an exit, driving in reverse, even jackknifing the trailer once just to see if it would break the pattern. Nothing. The road stretched on, impossible and eternal. Then I saw the sign. Welcome to Route 0. You've been expected. No town name, no mile markers. Just that rusted sign, standing tall like a gravestone for everyone who'd driven this highway and never come back. Now here's the thing, ain't just me. I started seeing others out here, other drivers, but not living ones. There's a guy in a red Peterbilt who drives with his windows fogged up from the inside, his skin all gray and stretched, like he's been freezer burned. I tried to honk at him once, but he didn't even blink, just stared straight ahead with eyes that didn't move. Then there's the woman in the blue Freightliner who'll pull up beside you at night, smile all polite, and ask for directions to a place that don't exist. If you answer her, she gets in. I made that mistake once. Told her to head south, and suddenly she was sitting in my passenger seat like she'd always been there. Didn't make a sound, just watched me with eyes that were too wide, too bright, like high beams in human form. When I finally looked over again, she was gone. But the seat was wet, and not with water. I think these are the ones who tried to leave, tried to fight the road. Now they're part of it, just like I'm becoming. Sometimes I wake up and I don't remember what I hauled, or where I went, or who I am. I catch glimpses of myself in the mirror, and the face looking back ain't quite mine. Smiles a little too sharp, eyes a little too empty. Like I'm just the echo of a driver who used to be real. And you want to know the worst part? I can't even remember what my last delivery was. I don't remember the load. I don't remember who sent it. All I know is the trailer's still sealed, still heavy, and every now and then I hear a voice from back there, muffled, like someone talking through layers of chains and burlap. I don't stop. I don't look. I just drive. So if you ever see me on the highway, if you're driving late and you spot a long black Kenworth with blood-red lights underneath and a low hum that makes your fillings buzz, don't try to pass me. Don't pull up beside me. And whatever you do, don't flash your brights, because I ain't alone in this rig anymore. And I sure as hell ain't stopping. There's only one more part to tell, and it's the part I've been avoiding. The part I didn't want to believe was real, even after all I'd seen. I was deep in Montana, or maybe somewhere else entirely, 'cause the road out there don't obey geography. I hadn't slept in days. My hands were starting to cramp from gripping the wheel so hard, and every now and then I'd see flashes in the mirrors, faces floating just behind the glass, mouths open, eyes black. I kept driving. My fuel gauge didn't move. My stomach hadn't growled in hours. It was like my body didn't need things anymore, like the road was feeding me, or feeding on me. Then, it happened. I saw the end. Not a metaphorical end. Not the end of my route, not the end of a dream. I mean the end. A massive wall of fog rolling across the highway like a slow tsunami. Behind it, the road just ended. Not faded, not cracked. It stopped. Like the world had been sliced clean in half. No sky, no ground. Just a flat edge where everything dropped off into a bottomless, pitch-black nothing. I should have turned around. Should have thrown the truck in reverse and prayed for a familiar exit sign. But someone, was waiting there. Right, at the edge of the drop-off. A figure, dressed like a trucker. Same boots, same jacket, same ball cap. And as I got closer, I saw the face. It was me, but older, hollow, burned out. He looked like a man who'd been driving forever and forgot where he was headed. His skin was cracked like dry asphalt. His eyes were empty headlights. And he raised one finger and pointed at me, then pointed at the trailer. I don't know why, but I got out, walked to the back. The air was electric, buzzing like every atom in the universe had gathered around to watch. My hands shook as I undid the latch. I pulled the doors open, and inside was darkness. A swirling, living void, colder than death and louder than silence. But in the center of it was a chair, and strapped to it was me. Not the older me, not the driver I was. It was me, the man I used to be, back when I still had a home, a family, a name. His eyes snapped open, looked straight at me, and he said one word. Finally. That's when it all hit me. I ain't been hauling freight. I've been hauling myself the whole time. Every trip, every detour, every whisper in the fire. Trees, every face in the mirrors. It was all me unraveling. The load in the back wasn't cursed cargo or ghost passengers. It was my soul, my past, my last shot at freedom, strapped down and locked away. And every mile I drove, the road was trying to show me, trying to get me to open it, to face it, but I never did, till now. And once I opened it, I knew what I had to do. The final haul, the final mile. I climbed back in the cab, that older version of me still standing at the edge of the void. He nodded. I nodded back. And I drove. Headlights cutting into the black like knives, the edge rushing up fast, the hum of the road screaming in my ears. The trailer pulled heavy behind me, but I didn't slow. I couldn't slow. Then, nothing. No crash. No burn. Just stillness. Silence. And now I'm here. Telling this story. On a loop. Through the speakers. Through the CB. Through the whispers you hear in the back of your cab when you think you're alone at mile marker 0. I ain't on any map anymore. I'm part of the pavement now. Part of the warning. So if you hear a voice on the road, late at night telling a story like this one, you already took the wrong turn. And if you see a black Kenworth pulled over just ahead, engine cold, trailer doors wide open, don't stop. Don't look. Just keep driving. Because once you see what's inside, it starts hauling you.